This is looking at an extract from Twelfth Night from Act 3, Scene 1, and it's a conversation between Olivia and Viola. Okay, so first of all, if you're tracking the extract through, it begins with "what is your name?" and it ends with Viola saying "I am not what I am." And have a copy kind of ready to annotate along with it. Now, some of these ideas are taken from the Arden Shakespeare, some of them are my own. If you really want a very well footnoted version of any Shakespeare text, Arden is a really good name to go for. So if we look at the beginning, Olivia's first question of "what is your name" is an interesting kind of approach to Cesario. Okay, now remember that Viola is dressed as Cesario, so Olivia thinks she is a young man at this point. And this question is kind of interesting for the power dynamic, really. And there's a lot of kind of power play going on in this extract, because asking somebody their name, you have to be in a kind of position of power in some way to be entitled to that information. And Olivia, in asking it, is putting herself on more of an equal footing with Cesario. There is a kind of assumption of intimacy, of friendliness, which is not really appropriate for the lady and the Duke's servant. So this is an attempt to create some degree of intimacy there. Obviously, it foreshadows Olivia's approach to Cesario later in the extract, where she confesses, her love for him. So, "what is your name?" And Viola responds with "Cesario is your servant's name, fair princess." And that's interesting for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's not directly her name. Because so there is this kind of linguistic distance maybe between Viola and Cesario. And it's also a reminder in part of their different status. Okay, so the idea that, I'm your servant, you're the princess. So a kind of an implied reminder of the hierarchy. And we know that the last time Viola Cesario left, she was addressing Olivia as fair cruelty, so now fair princess. And Olivia kind of takes this rebuke, takes this reminder in terms of, my servant, sir, 'twas never merry world since lowly feigning was called compliment. This idea of lowly feigning, to feign something is to fake it, okay? Since low feigning, and this "'twas never merry world" is a kind of Elizabethan proverb. It means, it's been a long time since. And she's basically saying, wow, things have changed, or, it's been a long time since that kind of low-down fakery was called compliments. So she's kind of picking up on the idea that, yes, this is a compliment, but it comes with a sting in the tail. That idea of, but I'm your servant. And so she reminds Cesario, your servant to the Count Orsino youth, right? And he is yours. So Viola is looking to make these connections between Olivia and the job that she has to do, which is to kind of advocate on Orsino's behalf, to further his suit, to further his love for Olivia. And she tries to kind of connect them through that practicality. Your servant's servant is your servant, madam. Like in the kind of connection of things, yes, I do serve you. And she's using love to link that and to create that practically. And Olivia picks up on the idea of Orsino, and for him, I think not on him. I prefer that his thoughts were blank rather than filled with me. So she is completely dismissive of Orsino. And yet Viola says, I come to whet your gentle thoughts on his behalf. I've come to sharpen your thoughts, or to tend your thoughts, or to move your thoughts on his behalf. Now, if you look in your copy, if a good paper copy, will have this line going in there, I think, because it's just the way the formatting's worked out on my Word document. It's lined it up. So this is the second half of this line. It's a shared line which says that, Olivia comes in very quickly with that apostrophe. Okay, so that kind of sigh, oh, by your leave, I pray you. And this is where the power dynamic becomes quite interesting, because Olivia says, by your leave, which is permission. I pray you, so I entreat you. I bade you, I commanded you, never speak again of him. And it's this kind of confusion that her feelings are leading to, that she is both kind of imploring or begging, not in a kind of demeaning way, but she's asking, entreating Cesario, and reminding us that she also commands him. And she says, I would like you to undertake another suit, another argument. I would rather hear you to solicit that. So any other argument, I'd rather hear that than hear music from the spheres. And that's a Platonic concept, the idea that that music can come from the heavens. So she says, please, argue anything else. I'd rather listen to that than heavenly or cosmic music. And Viola is a little bit kind of thrown by that, dear lady. And Olivia repeats again, give me leave, beseech you. Okay, and this is all, give me leave, by your leave, I pray you, beseech you. These are all things that a higher class lady would not be saying to a young male servant. So she's starting to introduce what she's about to say, or to kind of prepare for what she's about to say. And she confesses that, I did send, after the last enchantment you did here, a ring in chase of you. So after you worked your magic on me last time, I sent a ring after you. And you remember that she sends, she pretends that that Cesario has left a ring from Orsino, and she sends this after him. And she confesses that so did I abuse myself, my servant, and I fear me, you. And this is the idea of this triple vulnerability there, that she says, basically, after you'd worked your magic on me last time, I sent somebody chasing after you with a ring, and in doing that, I think I embarrassed myself, I think I embarrassed my servant, and I'm afraid I also embarrassed you. And now under your hard construction must I sit. So now I'm sitting with you judging me, because we both know that that ring didn't belong to you, because I forced that on you in shameful cunning. So I came up with this idea, and it was an embarrassing plot, and you knew it was none of yours. You knew it wasn't your ring. Whatever did you think? So she realises that lack of judgment, or that impulsive act, has left her open, that Cesario would have been thinking, what is she talking about? This isn't my ring. Why has she sent someone chasing after me? Because she wanted him to come back. And so this is Olivia kind of asking for Cesario's kind of forgiveness or tolerance. And she carries on with this bear-baiting metaphor to say that, you've set my honour at the stake and baited it with all the unmuzzled thoughts a tyrannous heart can think. You've basically taken my honour, my reputation, and you've tied it down, and now you are tormenting it. Like, if you think Elizabethan times, bear baiting was a horrible thing, but to get a bear to chain it to a stake and then to set dogs on it and to see who won or how long the bear could hold the dogs off for. And that is what the metaphor that Olivia's using, that Cesario's kind of charm and attraction and her growing love for him is kind of unleashed and is tormenting her. That, he has a tyrannous heart. And she says that he must have this high level of perception. He must be able to see through all of this. To one of your receiving, enough is shown. You can see what I've been doing. How embarrassing for me. Now, a cypress is not a tree in this case, it's a gauze. Okay, so it's a very, very fine see-through material. And she says, basically, it is this transparent material that's hiding my heart, not my chest. You can see exactly why I've done this. So please say something. And after this, really vulnerability kind of inducing, she's really left herself open. Viola says, I pity you, which is a bit of a kind of kick, really, because it's not I love you back, it's I feel sorry for you, you know. And still she hopes, because there is an Elizabethan proverb that says, well, pity is the next degree to love. So Viola says, that's nearly love. And Viola says, no, it's not a step. It's a vulgar proof. It's a kind of, it's a common experience that very often we pity our enemies. So she's like, don't think this means I love you. You can pity your enemy. And Olivia then tries to recover a little bit by saying, why then? Maybe I should think it's time to smile again. Maybe I should be happy. How, oh world, so and again, more apostrophe, more of that intense feeling. She addresses the world generally. And with those kind of plosives in how apt the poor are to be proud, how often those who have nothing are proud. Well, maybe it's time to smile. Maybe I've gone as low as I can go. I've got nothing, but still, proud. If one should be a prey, so if you should be a victim, it's better to fall before a lion than a wolf. And it's not quite certain which is the animal she's attributing to Cesario. Is he a lion? Is this respectful kind of saying, well, I'd rather be slain by somebody magnificent, or I'd rather be slain by that horrible kind of pitiless wolf who's just said, I feel sorry for you. So very much depends on how the actress is going to deliver that line, whether or not it's a kind of real jab at Cesario, or whether it's a kind of sad acceptance that, I would rather have fallen victim to that magnificent animal. And then we have the clock striking, and she says, well, that reminds me that, I'm wasting time. But don't worry, I won't have you. My pursuit is over of you. But when you are grown, your wife will enjoy a good man, a proper man. And there is the kind of sexual connotations in there, as well as the kind of idea of honour and integrity. And then there lies your way due west, the sun sets in the west, go, off you go. And so she dismisses him, there may be some hint of embarrassment there, or kind of regret, but right, well, when you do marry, she'll be a lucky lady. You can leave now. And Viola says, then westward ho. Now, that's picking up on the idea of west that Olivia's just said, but also there were houses of great kind of social importance, kind of west of London. It might also be the kind of double-edged sword that the prison was there as well, so was Tyburn. But, she says, okay, I'm off. Grace and good disposition attend your ladyship. So she wishes her all the best. You're nothing, madam, to my lord by me. Are you going to send anything to Orsino via me? And Olivia gives you one more moment. Stay, I pray you, tell me what you think of me. And she's shifted to this more familiar thou as opposed to you. So she's still trying to prolong this idea of kind of this moment. Maybe she can get him. And Viola says, well, I think that you do think you are not what you are. That you think you're something different. And notice that Viola maintains, or Cesario maintains the you, the formality there, even though Olivia's addressing him as thou. And Olivia says, well, if I think I'm something different, I think the same of you. And that might be a kind of recalling earlier where she said, I think you are better than you are letting on. I think you are of higher breeding than you're letting on, or better parentage. And Cesario, or Viola, in fact, kind of gives, then you're right. I am not what I am, which is dramatic irony because, of course, the audience knows that, of course, Cesario is actually Viola, and how this plot's all going to unfold. So if you're looking at this as an extract with one of those questions that says, why is this significant? You're looking not only at placing it within the play, but placing it within the plot. So this is significant because it allows us as an audience to understand how deeply Olivia has fallen for Cesario, which in turn prepares the audience for her relationship with Sebastian at the end of the play. Because we know, dramatic irony-wise, there is a carbon copy, Shakespeare would have us believe, of Viola, who doesn't have the tricksy little problem of being in love with Orsino and being a girl. So moving the plot along, it's that idea of exploring this power dynamic and moving this particular love plot along, as well as dealing with the kind of metaphors of love and the kind of, I suppose, the vulnerability people show when they're in love. I hope that helps. Bye now.